Yeah, hello. This is chapter 2. This is my first question. I'm explaining the scene and code. What is scene? Scene is object of the stream class in the standard C++ library that is used for reading input from the user. It is typically used with the operator to read the different types of input, such as integers, floating pointers, and characters. It's a complicated thing. After this B is code. Code is an object of a stream class in the standard C++ library that is used for outputting data to the console or other output streams. It is typically used with the operator to output different types of data, such as integers, floating point values, characters, and strings. As code is often used to print messages or results of calculation to the console for the user to see. Oh. 2. This is my second question. I'm filling blanks in here. That's command code if the scene. The third question, write a program that asks the user to enter two ranges, obtain numbers from the user, then print the largest number followed by what is larger. If the numbers are equal, print the message these numbers are equal. First define two values, then write the request things. The goal is for your code to tell which of the two numbers is greater. I worked accordingly. After fourth part of code printing, we are asked to find output of the line, and I found it and I wrote it. That's easy. And fifth questions of write a program that reads an integer at the terms and prints whether it is odd or even. Here we ask it to find odd and even numbers. That's so easy. Just put an code enter integer, code is odd, so easy. And in C++ or whatever, generally the same things. We wrote the same things in here. This chapter 2, it's all. Yeah, this is my chapter 3. First question, explain the difference between a function prototype and a function definition. The function prototype, it provides function declaration, but in function definition it provides path body of function used with body. Second, prototypes are the mandatory name of arguments, passed are optional, but in function definition names of argument must be specified along with their data types. And this is not the same things. Third, always terminate with semicolon. In definition, does it contain semicolon at the end? It informs the compiler that the function is present in the program, but in the definition it contains the code that defines the purpose of the function. Example, in the function prototype void sum int we are replace the two same things, but in definition we this is the same things, but this is the difference. In prototype we use example 2 and 2, but in definition this is the difference. We use 1 and 2. This is the difference between the prototype and definition. Second question, explain the purpose of a data member. This is very simple. It's the variables that are part of the class or struct. Example, int a and float p. This is data member. What you write here. This is the data member. Take this and going with this GPU. After void do something, and this is the data member function. This is like a data member. And my third question is, what's the header file? What is the source code file? Discuss the purpose of each. Header file, the names of programmed elements such as variables, function, class, and so on must be declared before they can be used. For example, you can't just write x equal 42 without first declaring x. Int x declaration, x equal to 35, you must use X. The declaration tells the compiler whether the element is an int, a double, a function, a class, or some other thing. Furthermore, each name must be declared directly or indirectly in every CPP file in which it is used. When you compile a program, each CPP file is compiled independently into a compilation unit. The compiler has a knowledge of what names are declared in other compilation units. That means that if you define a class or function or global variable, you must provide declaration of that thing in each additional CPP file that uses it. A declaration of that thing must be exactly identical in all files. A slag, a consistency will cause errors or unattended behavior when the linker attempts to merge all the compilation units into a single program. To minimize the potential for errors, C++ has adopted the convention of using header files to contain declarations. You make the declarations in a header file, then use the include directive in every CPP file or other header file that requires that declaration. The include directive inserts a copy of the header file directly into the CPP file prior to computation. Header file is so long, but most useful things in the C++. After source code file, a CPP file is a source code file written in C++, a popular programming language that adds features such as object-oriented programming to C. It may be a standalone program containing all the code or have many files referenced to the development project. CPP files must be compiled by a C++ compiler for the target program before the code can run. 4. Explain how the code uses the class string to interesting user declaration. C++ program can use the string class from the standard library without inserting the user declaration by using the following global name of the class. To do this, the program can prefix every use of string class with s, which is the namespace in which the string class is defined to standard library. For example, instead of writing string hello with the user declaration for a string, the program could write string hello without using declaration. This is my example. And fifth question: what is the default construction? How are object members interrelated if a class has only an exactly defined default construction? A default constructor is a constructor that can be called without any arguments. It's used to initialize the members of an object when the object is created. If a class has only implicitly defined default construction, the data members of an object are initialized using their default constructors. The default constructor for a data member depends on its type. For example, for primitive types such as integers or floats, the default constructor initializes the variable to 0. For user-defined types, the default constructor can be defined by the programmer to initialize the object in a specific way. In my opinion, the default constructor is so complicated thing in C++, but very useful to use data members with default construction. That's all. Yes, this is the fourth chapter. First question: identify and correct the error is each of the following. And just solve the problems. A, B, C, D. That's easy. And second, a palindrome is a number of text pairs diverse to send backwards forward. For example, each of the following 5-digit integers is a palindrome. Write a program that reads in 5-digit integer and times if there is palindrome. Yes. This is namespace int name. Yeah, skip. First of all, int n, digit and real equal to 0. It's used to store the original number entered by the user. Num is used to store a copy of the original number. Digit is used to store the rightmost digit of the number that's being reversed. Real is used to store reversed number. Positive number. C biggest than none. This line is in value from the console and stored in the variable and equal to none. This line makes a copy of the original number and stored in the variable digit equal none. This line calculates the remainder of 9 divided by 10, which gives the rightmost digit of the number. And real and this line calculates the remainder of 9 divided by 10, which gives the rightmost digit of the number. And this line is not important. This line is important. What is this line? This line displays the reverse number on the console, and this lines is this conditional statement checks whether the original number n is equal to reverse number reef. If they are equal, then the number is a palindrome and the program displays the message the number is a palindrome. If they are not equal, then the number program displays the code. This is my second question, and third was wrong with the following statement. Provide the correct account, but the program was probably track the code. And we can't write this. We can't write this like this. You must write like this because if you write this code is not working. You must write this. Fourth, write a program that displays the checkboard pattern shown below. Includes terms means yes. First, constant rows. This line declares a constant integer variable named rows and interlaces into value of date. This variable represents the number of rows in the chessboard pattern, and this line declares the constant variable named constant interlaces the value of date. This variable represents the number of columns in the chessboard pattern. And this creates loop that iterates over each row of the chessboard pattern. The loop counter A starts at 0 and increments by 1 each time through the loop until it reaches the value of rows. This creates, and this is the same things, whatever. This conditional. This conditional statement checks whether the sum E and G is even or odd. If even, the program outputs a character that represents the black square on the chessboard. If it's odd, then the program outputs a character that represents the white square on the chessboard. This line outputs a star character of the console, and this line gives star and this line gives nothing. And this line will by character to console, which moves the output to the next line from the next line to chessboard pattern. And fifth question, what does the program print? The program prints this. The program uses the two nested whiles of the pattern. The auto loop iterates over each row and the inner loop iterates for each column in the row. If the row number is even, the program outputs this, and if the row number is odd, the program outputs this. The modulo operator percent is used to determine whether the row number is even or odd. At the end of each row, the program decrements the row counter and starts a new line using whole code, and the program continues to loop until the row number is less than 1. This is the chapter 4. This is the chapter 5. The sports games. I'm just solve this problem. I'm just solve this code. This is easy. 2. Write a program that uses a for statement to calculate the average of several integers. Assume the last value released is the centering of 9999. The type will implement blah 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 whatever. This C++ program prompts the user to enter number count. which represents the number of values to be summed. Then it enters the loop using for a statement which repeats count times. Each time through the loop, the program prompts the user to enter value, reads in that value using sim, and it's at variable sum. After the loop completes, the program prints all the total sum of the values entered, and some which are all separated by inserting operator. This I don't know. What is the operator name, but I say it's operator. And finally, the program returns true to indicate successful completion. And 3. Write a program that uses a for statement to find the smallest of several integers. Assume that the first value rate specifies the number of values remaining. Program reads the user's specified number of integers into an array and finds the minimum value among them. Start by declaring an integer array name input of size 100, which is the maximum number of elements allowed in the array. The program then prompts the user to enter the number of elements in the array and reads into the count variable using sim input sim statement using the array input using for the loop that run count times. After that, the program initializes the variable min with the first element of the array and checks every element of the array for a loop and finds the smallest one. If an element is smaller than min, it updates the value of minimum. Finally, the program points to the value of minimum variable, which is the minimum element in the array. 4. One interesting application of computer is drawing graphs and board charts. Write a program that reads 5 numbers. Assume that the user enters only valid values. For each number that is read, your program should print a line containing that number of adject asterisk. Blah blah blah. This code reads a sequence of positive integers and prints out asterisks on separate lines with the number of asterisks on each line determined by the corresponding integer in the sequence. The program stops taking input when a non-positive integer is entered. Inside the while loop, a for loop is used to print out asterisks on a separate line. The loop iterates for n number of times, where n is the integer that was just read in. On each iteration of the for loop, an asterisk is printed using the code function. Once the for loop completes, a new line character is printed to move to the next line. And finally, once the while loop is completed, is the return. And 5. Write a program that uses a for statement to calculate and print product of the odd integers from 1 to 15. The for loop is used to iterate through the odd integer from 1 to 15. It starts by initializing a to 1 and increments a to by in 2 each iteration. Inside and the next and the second time torque is multiplied by 3 and so on. And finally, the program outputs the product of the odd integers from 1 to 15 using code and the return and the main. That's all. This is the chapter 5. This is the chapter 6. Write a function that takes integer boolean to return the number with its reversed. First of all, declare three integer variables and reverse number and reminder. Ask the user to enter an integer. Use while loop to reverse the digits of and above content into n become. Multiply the current of the reverse number by 10 and reminder to read this effectively at the last digit of n, the beginning of reverse number. Divide n by the removed last digit and repeat the process until all digits of n have been reversed. Once the loop completes, the reverse number is stored in reverse number. Print the reverse number in the console. 2. Write a program that plays the game of the ghost number as follows and repeat by range 1 to 1000. The program generates a random number between 1 and 1000 using the rand function and the percent operator. I don't remember the name, I'll just say percent. The program initializes the variables and after enters a loop that contains until the user guesses the correct number. Within loop, the program asks the user to enter a guess and stores the guess in the guess variable. The program increments the num guesses variable. If the guess is correct, the program exits the loop and this is the third question. Write a program into three double pressing, floating, pointing numbers and passes them to function that returns the smallest number. The code starts by including these necessary libraries and namespaces. After function is defined, which takes three double values num1, num2, num3. The function first analyzes the smallest variable with the value of number 1. If then checks if number 2 is smaller than smallest, if the smallest is set to num2 and the num3 is equal this. After, in the main function, the user is prompted to enter three numbers, number 1, number 2, and number 3, and find smallest. Function is called with three numbers as arguments, and the return smallest value is stored in the smallest variable. The smallest value is then printed to console using code, and the program ends by returning to 0. And for what's the wrong with the following program? The main issue with the program is that you use the recurse to refer to the called main function, which is not good practice and can lead to stack overflow. If the program is run for a long time, recursion should be used with care and only when necessary. However, this program does not provide any information to the user about what it is doing, and it does not prompt the user for any input. As written, the program will simply read characters from the input stream until the end of the stream is reached and print them within reverse order. This behavior may not be what the C expects or desires. To improve this program, it could modify the prompt the user for input and provide more meaningful output. Additionally, the recursion could replace the loop, which would be more efficient and easier to understand. Number 5. Write a program that inputs a series of integers and passes them one at a time to functions even. It uses the modulus operator to determine whether the integer is given. The function should take an integer argument and return true if the integer is even and false otherwise. the function is even integer, take an integer n as input that returns the Boolean value indicating whether n is even or not. Thus, by using the modulo operator, this is the modulo operator. Check, and after the reminder when n is divided by 2 is equal to 0. If it is, then n is even and the function returns true. Otherwise, the function returns false. For each integer entered by a user, the program calls is even function to determine whether it is even or odd. If it is even, the program prints a message indicating the fact. If it is odd, the program prints a different message indicating that fact. But in the main function, the program first prompts the user to enter a series of integers on what time until they enter 0 to stop. The program continues prompting the user for integers and checking whether they are even or odd until the user enters 0 to stop. When to use until stop, the loop determines. That's all. Yes, and this is my project. First of all, I thought of making an application like a Kim Milyoner Olmak ister, but I couldn't do that much, so I just turned a little bit. I just turned a test. First, I found the questions and create the questions. Generally, I prefer the general culture questions. I also place the questions and answer with the string questions I am used for the protect my questions for string. Then I use the user options, which is an array of integers that will protect and store the array selected by the user for each question. And I use the correct, I use the correct options to specify the correct the array. And this is used OP, this OP. The array OP wasn't actually used, but at the time like it doesn't work either, but I had to put it because I couldn't terminate anything else. I created use tokens because I have used 10 questions to explain. I must store the total number of questions in the test array. And after I will execute uh, first, second, third, fourth, and after I use my question. Select options. I'm give all of the when I compile, you can see I'm give all of the questions in my all of the questions, and after I'm use this and I want to use this. Böyle yapmak istedim. Sometimes my English is died because of the type whatever. I want to continue Turkish here because my English is died now. Bundan sonra if'le user option'la beraber sorularımı tamamladım. Buraya geçtim, burayı seçtim, doğru cevap diye. Ondan sonra arayüzde böyle bir şey eklemek istedim. Hani çok da gerekli değildi ama hani şık duruyordu. Daha sonra tekrardan doğru cevaplar için, yanlış cevaplar için ve geçmek için tekrardan fonksiyonlar tanımak zorunda kaldım. Ondan sonra for'la beraber loop döngüsünü aldım. Tekrar yazıyorum, şimdi sıfıra eşittir sıfıra eşittir yaptım. Correct'on köşeleri eşitledim if'in içinde. Doğru değilse yanlış, eğer o değilse geç şeklinde. Daha sonra bunları and ile beraber yaptım. Now I'm continuing with English. And this is my project. This is my questions. Who was the founder of Turkey? Atatürk. Atatürk. Which is foreign player for Fenerbahçe jersey? Annex. First World War, Germany. Water, Neil Armstrong. 2000, Penguin. I'm doing the one, Bronco. As well, for bodybuilder is 1 meter. 2. Görmeniz için 2 tanesini yanlış yaptım. Indicated contain. 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect, 3 is correct, 4 correct, 5 correct, 6 correct, 7 correct, 8 correct, 9 incorrect, 10 incorrect, and you can see the result. Total questions 10. My correct questions is 8, and my incorrect questions is 2. And this is my project.